Too big to fail. On Friday, two more financial firms were added to the list, meaning taxpayers could be on the hook for more bailouts. But the purpose of the Dodd-Frank Act, passed back in 2010, was to rein in firms that led to the financial crisis and ultimately prevent another too big to fail. So is this legislation working, or are our financial institutions and taxpayers still at risk? Joining us now is former chairman of the FDIC and author of the book Senseless Panic: How Washington Failed America, William Isaac. Bill, nice to see you this morning. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Clayton. Good to be with you.
We all heard about Dodd-Frank as an effort to protect us from ever having to worry about these big bailouts again. Did it work?
Well, I think Dodd-Frank was basically an effort by members of the Congress who voted for TARP to protect themselves in the election. I don't think it was a serious effort at reform. It heaped 2,500 pages of new statutory provisions and probably 10 or 20,000 new pages of regulations on top of the community banks. It's going to lead to more concentration in the banking system. More and more of our banking system is going to be in fewer and fewer hands, and it's going to really hurt the community banking sector, which is where all the small business loans are made. Not all of them, but most of them. I don't think Dodd-Frank is effective at all. I think it's overkill and entirely unnecessary.
And one of the things it was meant to prevent was sort of the picking winners and losers, right? Which is, hey, you know, this large bank, Bank of America, or Wells Fargo, or Citigroup, or these other large institutions, that they're not free from being allowed to fail in the future. But has that happened, or has that occurred under Dodd-Frank?
No, we really needed serious regulatory reform. And Dodd-Frank did none of that. We need to fix the regulatory system, which is way too politicized and spread out over way too many agencies. We needed to have some consolidation of the regulators. We needed to have stronger, more effective regulation, and we haven't done that. We haven't brought market discipline to bear on large financial institutions. We have more assets of the banking system held in fewer hands. The five largest banks in the nation, Clayton, control over 50% of the banking assets. When the next crisis comes, and there will be another crisis because we haven't fixed the problems that led to the last crisis. When the next crisis comes, and I don't know when that's going to be, there's no question that the government will bail out the largest banks. We really have no choice because we have so much of the banking system in so few hands, and you can't let them fail.
I mean, it sounds like an outrage here. I mean, this is exactly the type of thing we don't want to have happen. Is it because the administration is picking winners and losers, or is it because politicians at large generally have bankers in their back pocket, bankroll their campaigns? What is the issue here?
I'm not sure quite what the issue is, except that I do think that Dodd-Frank, what they wanted to do was to get something passed, anything passed, as quickly as possible so that they could tell the public that they were sorry about TARP. By the way, I was strongly opposed to TARP. TARP was unnecessary. It did more harm than good. But I think the politicians wanted to atone themselves to the public, so they pushed through this bill, which wouldn't have prevented the last crisis, won't prevent the next one. It really doesn't fix the system, and it surely doesn't end too big to fail. We need a lot more reform, a lot more sensible reform, if we're going to truly end too big to fail.
Well, sensible and Congress are two words that go hand in hand. Bill Isaac, former chairman of the FDIC and the author of the new book, Senseless Panic. Go read it. Thanks so much for joining us, Bill. We appreciate it.